Hey Carly, thank you for your very thoughtful post. I enjoyed listening to it and would like to give a short response if I may. You touched on quite a few things in your post, which I was very appreciative. You had quite a few different resources to draw from, and you touched on a few different aspects that I did not touch on in my post, and so it was good to listen to yours and then go back and review the ACA Code of Ethics in a couple different areas. Specifically, right out the gates, you mentioned third-party advocates, which took me right back to the section B5C, the release of confidential information, when it talks about when you're counseling a minor or a vulnerable population and they lack the capacity, or they're a minor and they cannot give informed consent legally, that we are, as counselors, to seek permission from appropriate third parties. So that was a really good one to go back to and review, and it kind of ties in with the section B5A, where basically it states that our obligation as counselors is to safeguard confidentiality as much as possible, and that's first and foremost. Your mention of the article regarding counseling minors and how it can be just especially challenging, especially when it comes to understanding, explaining confidentiality and establishing that relationship. Really what is coming, I guess, to the forefront of my mind with all of this is that it's a very delicate balance, especially when you're counseling minors, but it's a very delicate balance in explaining confidentiality and really nurturing and trying to cultivate that relationship of trust, but also being very clear on the limitations of confidentiality, because that's also very important to make sure that we're communicating, especially when we're talking to minors and vulnerable populations. So I think overall, what I'm learning from our post discussions and from our readings is that our obligation as counselors is like safeguard confidentiality. Like that's huge, right? And documentation, huge. But also I think the way that we talk about and inform our clients about informed consent and confidentiality. It's almost like it's the way we're educating them on these things. It's hugely important, and it matters, and it has far-stretching implications. How we explain these things, far-stretching implications as far as how the counseling relationship is going to move forward. So very critical that we measure our words and make sure that we are explaining things as clearly as possible. Thanks, Carly.